miles and I would walk 500 more. Just to be the man who walked 1,000 miles to fall down at your door.
As you can see, this was the family home of George MacLeod, founder of the Iona community. What an impressive home it is.
What's that?
We're at the top of the Abbot's Mound here, where we get quite a good view over Iona. Another cross slab here, another cross missing, but there are crosses down outside the abbey. That is St Orans graveyard. Many of the kings of Scotland, right up until nearly the 1100s, were buried here. It's also reputed that Macbeth was too, Malcolm I, and a headless horseman that we'll tell you about later on. Not only were there 48 Scottish kings, but there were 8 Norwegian kings and 4 Irish kings buried in St Orans graveyard. It's worth noting that probably the kings had ulterior motives to be buried on Iona. Allegedly, it had sin expunging soil. The soil apparently could remove sin, and it meant that you could clearly enter heaven. Quite good if you were a warlord at the time, I would imagine. Iona is also mentioned in Macbeth. Duncan's body is described as being carried to Columbus Island, so we presume Duncan is in here somewhere as well as Macbeth himself.
Just away from the graveyard at St Orans Chapel. That graveyard's got loads and loads of Scottish kings buried in it, but one of the Scottish kings buried in it is Kenneth MacAlpine. Kenneth MacAlpine was the first ever Scottish king. He was buried there in 858. Now, if you've seen some of our previous videos, you'll have seen one where we went to the Barglass abandoned village, and we mentioned King's Road. Now, King's Road runs down past our house, down through Glenlownan, and eventually brings you out on the shores of Argyll. And where the kings would have been brought, once they'd died obviously, would have been brought from there across here to Iona and buried in that graveyard.
This is St Martin's Cross, which has great symbolism for Christianity. On this side of the cross we have snakes working our way upwards to signify a new day, and at the top of the cross they turn into birds. This side of the cross also has significance. The Virgin and Child at the top catch the last light of the day. The child's head is shown as quite large, which signifies protection. It was shown to signify protection because stillborn children were often buried at the seat of this cross. There is also symbolism in this cross with Christ, Daniel among the beasts, and Jesus' temptation in the desert. This is a modern copy of St John's Cross, just at the entrance of St Columba's Shrine. It was quite an unprecedented design and quite ambitious, and apparently kept falling over, which is why this is not the original. It's not the first of St Columba's wells we've found. I'm pretty certain it won't be the last. But there's a very attractive font beside it, in our favourite pink marble of the day. This is the shrine to mark the burial place of St Columba. It is absolutely fabulous. It's very simple and very basic. That cross is wow.
Remember John's talk at the Historical Society mentioned the mollymusk casket as being one of those religious artefacts that's meant to be used to help you win battles and stuff. The mollymusk casket were the bones of St Columba, and they were put in the casket to take them to Ireland in 700, and then I assume brought back here and buried in there.
Wow.
All ties in.
On a totally unrelated subject.
Yeah. They were all short back then, yeah.
I'm slim. This is a trough called the Cradle of the North Wind, where pilgrims would wash their feet before entering the Abbey church. Tradition has it that if you throw 3 handfuls of water, you can ask St Columba for a favourable wind before setting out to sea. There is a faint cross carved into the end of the stone. Ah, yes. Don't think we're going to see it. I can see it. Oh, yes, you can see it. It's a 1400s grave slab. And yet another one. It's more recent. When I say more recent, 1500s. This is what's left of McKinnon's cross. It was dated 1489. We have the significance of the eagle. It was a dedication to Lachlan McKinnon and his son John. The details fabulous. The King of Norway in 1098, Magnus Barelegs, visited Iona while campaigning the Hebrides. Legend says he opened the door of St Columba's shrine, but was in too much awe to venture inside. Terrified, he ordered the door locked and declared none should be so daring thenceforth to go into this church. There's some beautiful old bits of crosses and grave markers. Here's a priest's grave marker. It's depicting the Celtic cross, but in the 1200s there's suspicions that it would have actually been jewelled. Again, the remains of St John's Cross, possibly the first ring cross, show snakes weaving upwards, usually on the eastern face of a cross to signify the new day. Circa 700 high cross shaft with what's left of its base at the bottom. This is a circa 800s grave slab, lay over a monk's grave in the Abbey cemetery. The inscription reads, "A prayer for the soul of Ochan." We also have a couple more ringed grave slabs. This is a grave slab, again circa 900s. There are 4 crosses carved into it, and possibly could have been laid over a mass grave, maybe after a Viking slaughter.